Okay, so class, now we're going to be doing our practice problems. Let's go ahead and start with our steps. Okay, here are going to be our math steps that we are going to be taking to determine what type of intersection our lines have. Okay, so step number 1. So we can follow along here. Step number 1, we are going to identify if the lines intersect. Okay, so for example, if they do intersect, we automatically know that they're going to be either perpendicular or congruent lines. If they do not intersect, then we automatically know that they will be parallel or skew lines. Number 2, we are going to break down our options. So if they intersect, we have perpendicular or congruent again, and if they do not, they will be parallel or skew. That's why we have drawn our line here. Okay, so if they intersect, let's go ahead and analyze number 3. We are going to be analyzing our diagram. If the lines do intersect, how many are intersecting? If it's only 2 lines, or is it 3 or more lines? At that point, we would be, okay, so that's if they are intersecting. If they are not intersecting, are they on the same plane, or are they in different planes? Okay, you have to go ahead and analyze our drawing and look at our pictures, which are down here. Pictures. Okay, step number 4, we are going to define the relationship between the lines. Let's say we only have 2 lines. If we only have 2 lines, we need to measure our point of intersection to see if it adds up to 90 degrees. So we have a perpendicular line here. We would measure this angle right here, use our protractor, and determine that it is in fact 90 degrees. Therefore, it is a perpendicular line. Okay, so now if we have 3 or more lines, we have to make sure that they all cross at one point. We're going to, number 1, count our lines. We have 1 line, 2 lines, and 3 lines. We find our common point of intersection. That is right there. We know it is a concurrent line. Concurrent line. Okay, so then we go to the lines that do not intersect. We're going to be going to number 4. We're going to be defining the relationship between the lines. We determine if they are on the same plane. We must verify that the lines will never intersect. The way we do that is that we go ahead and draw our dashes and make sure that our lines would never touch. Okay, they have the same slope, and at that point we know that our lines are parallel lines. Okay, and last, if our lines do not intersect and are on different planes, meaning, for example, on this face of the square, it would be either on this face or on this face. Every face of that cube is a different plane, like we discussed. So we have to make sure that each of those lines is on a different plane. For example, this line here and this line here are not on the same face of that cube, therefore they are skew lines. Okay, so at the end, of course, we are determining our results. We determine what type of line that is. So let's go ahead and start some practice problems. We're going to be using the following picture to answer the following questions. Question number 1. Name a set of parallel line segments. What are they asking for? Parallel lines. Okay, so first off, number 1, we identify the line. Parallel line. Do parallel lines intersect? No. Parallel lines, as you can see here, parallel lines do not intersect. So we're breaking down our options. Parallel lines do not intersect. We look at our diagram. We have to find lines that are never going to intersect. For example, if we look at line E. Line E crosses with line D, therefore that cannot be its intersection, and it also crosses with line C. If we keep that line going, it will eventually cross with B, as you can tell here. Therefore, it cannot be parallel to B. We are left with A. If we keep drawing these two lines, these lines will never meet. That's our first set. So we're going to say that our first set, we are going to be saying that our first result, number 4, is going to be line A and E are parallel. Okay, now let's go ahead and find our second set because they asked us for 2 sets. Let's go ahead and go with, for example, now we are going with example line D. We know that line D crosses here with E, so it cannot be E, and it crosses here with C, so it cannot be C. If we keep drawing letter A up and letter D, we notice that they are going to eventually cross. Therefore, our only other option is going to be option B. We make sure that they never intersect, make our lines. Therefore, our second result is going to be line B and D. And previously we had E and A. So that was our very first question. Let's go on to our set number 2. This question asks, name a two sets of perpendicular lines. Who can tell me what a perpendicular line is? Will the perpendicular line intersect? Identify the line. We break down our options. Yes, a perpendicular will cross, and in fact, it will have to cross at a 90-degree angle. Step number 3, we analyze our diagram. We look at our diagram and make sure we measure our angles. Therefore, we look at our diagram. A and B do not. We measure our angle. This would be less than 90 degrees. For example, D and E would be less than 90 degrees. E and C would be less than 90 degrees. And actually, if we look here, we find several 90 degrees. For example, the ones that I just marked off are both made by angles from line D and line C, as you can tell here. They're the ones crossing and making these right angles. Now we still need one more set of those because they do ask us for 2 sets. Let's go ahead and keep trying to look for them. We notice here that B and C also make those 90-degree angles here. Therefore, our next answer is going to be B and C. And of course, we would determine our results, and that is our answer. Next question, number 3. This question is asking us to find one set of concurrent lines. What can we determine about concurrent lines again? Will our lines intersect? Yes, concurrent lines do intersect. But unlike perpendicular lines, concurrent lines need to have 3 or more lines sharing one point of intersection. We go ahead and analyze our diagram, number 3. We analyze our diagram. We have 1, 2, that's only 2 lines. 1, 2, again, that's only 2 lines. We go on to this side. We have 1 line, E, 2 lines, and guess what? C, 3 lines, and they all share one common point of intersection here. So we are going to determine our results. Lines D, E, and C are concurrent lines. Okay? Now that we had some practice problems, I'm going to go ahead and put up 3 other problems on the board. We have 15 minutes to go ahead and finish these up. And after that, I will go ahead and tell you what your homework assignment will be. Okay, here are 3 practice problems. Number 1, you will name 2 sets of parallel line segments. Number 2, name 2 sets of perpendicular lines. And number 3, you will name 1 set of skew lines, and you will be using this diagram that is on the board. You have 15 minutes to finish it up.